For over 5 decades, he haunted the ring and captivated millions.
No one can ever defeat the undefeatable!
He was the first man to ever defeat Andre the Giant. He is a true legend in the world of professional wrestling.
There's a kamikaze crash coming. There it is.
This is Rewind, where we take a look back through the historic moments of professional wrestling. And in this episode, we explore the incredible career of one of the most unforgettable figures in the history of British wrestling, Kendo Nagasaki. Billed as the mysterious masked man from Japan, it may be surprising to learn that the man behind the mask was actually born October 19, 1941, in Crewe, a small village in Cheshire, England. In his early life, Peter William Thornley was a young judo and weightlifting champion with a future set towards the Olympics. However, after losing one of his fingers, his Olympic dreams were shattered. But this was not the complete end of his athletic pursuits, as later he would begin training at the infamous Snake Pit, where under the tutelage of Billy Riley, he was forged into a professional wrestler.
It was once said you could put your hand out the pit in Wigan and drag up a rugby player or a top wrestler.
Most wrestlers in the 1960s had a very simple and practical presentation, often limited to a gown and a plain pair of trunks. But Thornley wanted to create a character unlike anything else in wrestling. Inspired by close friend and legend in his own right Count Bartelli, he decided he should wear a mask to create a sense of mystery. And for the rest, he looked towards the world of Japanese culture. He took the name Kendo from the martial art and Nagasaki from the bombing in World War II, as well as it being the name of a legendary samurai. Then, Kendo Nagasaki was born. However, this character was far more than just a martial arts-inspired wrestler from Japan, as maintaining an aura of mysticism was crucial to Nagasaki to ensure the wrestling audience could never truly know what he would do at any given moment. He went as far as never uttering a word through most of his wrestling career.
What do you say to people who argue that wrestling is a fix?
And relied on managers such as gorgeous George Gillette to communicate for him.
St. Clair, tonight you'll despair, because Kendo and Quinn are gonna fill you in!
This character has often been described as the greatest wrestling gimmick of all time, due to how deep it truly was, often being dubbed as the Undertaker of that era.
He's got these hypnotic powers, and he got Brookside to turn against his own man in the corner there.
It was the year 1964 that the legendary masked samurai broke onto the scene, debuting against Jumpin' Jim Hussey. But it was the 70s that he truly dominated.
Such good diet, but it's a better way to fry. It shakes off food, leaving it deliciously crisp and dry.
Here we go again with the action package that makes Saturday lunchtime your grapple and crunch time.
The 1970s were the golden age of televised British wrestling. Alongside Nagasaki, this era saw the rise of iconic figures, with the likes of fan favourites Big Daddy and Giant Haystacks, who all became household names across the country. Nagasaki quickly developed a reputation for being both technically gifted and brutally efficient due to his background in judo and a deep understanding of wrestling psychology. He brought a precision and intensity that separated him from his peers. Kendo Nagasaki's wrestling style was a unique blend of power, submission hold, and theatrical flair, with a focus on hard-hitting moves and of course his signature that terrorized Britain's most beloved wrestlers, the kamikaze crash.
And Kincaid in trouble now, the kamikaze crash, there it is.
By the early 1970s, he had already defeated numerous established stars, but it was 1971 that Kendo Nagasaki etched his name into the history books. On December 14, 1971, at London's Royal Albert Hall, Kendo Nagasaki achieved what was considered impossible at the time. He became the first man to defeat the undefeated Andre the Giant. Though details of the match remain scarce and have taken on a mythical quality, the result stunned fans around the world. This moment only elevated Nagasaki's legend. He wasn't just a star anymore, he was a force of nature.
Kendo Nagasaki! There he is!
Or at least that's how it was to the fans when Nagasaki stood across from some of Britain's greatest wrestling heroes, the likes of Rollerball Rocco, Count Bartelli and Giant Haystacks, who later even called him his most formidable opponent over the years, an opponent to be in awe of. But it was his clashes with the ultimate babyface Big Daddy that truly shook the wrestling world. The crowd would rally behind the wholesome hero and had witnessed him battle and defeat countless wrestling villains over the years, only to be silenced by the brutal efficiency and terrifying aura of Nagasaki. It could be described as the perfect rivalry. The mystery behind the enigma that is Kendo Nagasaki managed to become a talking point across most of Britain. Fans would have all kinds of theories of who could be the man behind the mask, with some of the most outlandish speculations ranging from a member of the royal family to Elvis Presley. This level of mystery truly managed to capture the audience, but making sure the secret was not ruined was no small task.
Can I call you Ken? Okay.
When in public or at any event, even outside of wrestling, Nagasaki would always wear his mask to protect his character.
Hasn't he ever once coughed or said to you, doesn't he ever lean out and go, I'm bored?
In yet another televised match against Big Daddy, the mystery was unmasked, as Kendo Nagasaki's face was revealed live on national television, albeit very briefly, giving the fans a glimpse at the man behind the mask.
There he is now, we've seen him for the first time.
For a character built entirely around mystery, this was an unprecedented and risky move that could easily have been suicide for his wrestling career, and yet it only deepened the intrigue, which led to the most memorable moment of Nagasaki's career.
Welcome to the Civic Hall of Wolverhampton, where tonight I will presently be performing a ceremony that has never voluntarily been performed in this country.
Taking place at Wolverhampton's Civic Hall in an elaborate unmasking ceremony, an astounding 14 million viewers tuned in to watch Nagasaki voluntarily remove his mask. The ceremony was described as the next big thing for those who had not witnessed the Queen's coronation in 1953. The significance of this moment cannot be overstated. However, shortly after the infamous unmasking, Nagasaki disappeared from wrestling due to an injury. But not for very long. Iconic moments of Nagasaki's second run include the famed disco ladder match against Clive Myers that main evented All Star's first ever television show, and a heated and iconic rivalry against Mark Rollerball Rocco. This was not the Nagasaki of the 70s. This was a darker, yet more theatrical incarnation that relied much more on his incredible character work rather than his in-ring ability.
Kendo used to get to a wrestling arena and had to have his own dressing room. He always had an entourage with him. He came in a Rolls Royce. He sat somewhere where no one could find him. No one knew where he was.
However, it was the late 80s that saw the death of the golden age of British wrestling, and the slow disappearance of the once beloved icons. Nagasaki himself described the British wrestling scene as an unfortunate imitation of Americanized entertainment. Nagasaki would periodically continue to wrestle throughout the 90s and 2000s to his final match at 83 years old. Kendo Nagasaki's influence on British wrestling cannot be overstated. He was a pioneer of character work, a man who blurred the lines between performance and reality. His mask alone became an icon to any that witnessed it. In a world of loud promos and over-the-top personalities, Kendo Nagasaki proved that silence and mystery could speak volumes.
Can I introduce you to Kendo Nagasaki?
Kendo?
I must just say that he won't shake hands and he won't speak to you at all.
This has been Rewind. Thank you for watching.